Go ahead. I can't follow that. Just through 3 days, just thoughts on overall maybe tempo, how the offense is looking so far.
Yeah, it's been good from the tight end perspective. The guys are competing. You always got to get acclimated to the heat the first couple of days, which our guys have done a nice job. We're battling through. Obviously, Trey's put on some weight and looks good and came back in good shape. And, just got to get used to the heat. Same with Hud and Bax and Tyrus are all doing a really good job, and the young guys.
How is Trey handling that added weight? I mean, can you tell the difference?
Yes, sir. When you see him, you can tell. Like when he walks through the door, he looks like what a tight end is supposed to look like. And you got to give a lot of credit to Jamil Walker and his staff. He's as good as any strength coach in America. And when you come from pro football to college football, you always hear the stories about how important the strength coach is. And you don't know until you get here and you see how much time they spend with those guys. So the strength staff deserves a ton of credit. It's a huge reason why we win. And those guys have done a great job. And Trey making the right decisions and doing the right stuff.
Spring before last, like 18 months ago, he was 205.
Yeah.
It's like 40 pounds in 18 months. Is that difficult to do?
Yeah, I mean, I do it the wrong way. So I only talk about the bad weight I gained, but Trey's put on good weight and looks good and moves well. And, it's a tribute to the kids' work ethic and our strength staff and Julie, our nutritionist. They've done a great job with him. And it is a commitment. And it's not just from like, hey, you put on weight, but you have to change your mindset. You go from playing wide receiver that you don't have, like you have to block, but you're out there on the edge. You're blocking people that are your size compared to now you're coming in, you got to block defensive ends and you got to block on the second level linebackers, but it's a mindset. And that's where the mental toughness comes in. And it's not for everybody. Not everyone can make this transition, but Trey's a mentally tough kid. He's physically tough. And that's what it's allowed him to make that transition.
We were talking with Sam the other day about Jaden Hazelwood and how highly recruited he was and how he kind of feels like he hadn't quite lived up to that and ready to prove himself. Hudson kind of in a similar vein as that, really highly regarded as a recruit and stuff, but it's had some injuries and things like that pop up. Is there any sense that you get from him that he kind of feels that too? I
think Hudson's the ultimate teammate, and his concern is doing what's right by the team. Obviously, he wants to play like everyone else, but his focus right now is improving himself. And I've told him multiple times, you can only control what you can control, and everything's going to be earned in our room. So you want more playtime, you got to earn it. And we've got a good group in there and they're all competing. Hudson's doing a nice job. He has the advantage of being intelligent. He comes from a great lineage and DNA in his family and of good football players. And now he's got to come make it and do it on his own and make it, in which he's doing a good job.
Hey, I know last year with Trey, he moved early. I think it was after the opener.
Yes, sir.
And I know you guys were having to do extra work and getting ready for opponents and all that. How's he done just with his total evolution of the position? Not just weight gain, but just now he's had an off season and a summer, and now you're in camp. How's that evolution been for him?
It's been good, and it's been a pretty smooth transition because he's so intelligent. You guys have talked to this kid. He's highly intelligent. He's going to be successful after football. He's going to be successful in life because he's a conceptual thinker. He wants to know the why in everything we do, why you take this step, why it's important to have your second step in the ground. And the advantage he has coming from the wideout room, being a conceptual thinker, is he knows what all five guys are supposed to do. He also knows where the ball's supposed to go based on coverage, which also creates a problem for me in my room when he's like, hey, it's cover 4. That ball should be going to me. And all of a sudden it goes to Hazelwood, So he's just a football intelligent guy. He's got high IQ. And that's what's made the transition on top of the mental and physical toughness easy, because he does have football intelligence.
And then the overall depth in the room. Seemed like last fall you guys were moving guys and they get hurt or something would happen. And Sam, when Dax said he couldn't play football anymore, Sam said, hey, we still got plenty of depth. How do you feel about the depth overall?
Well, Dominique, no one knew who Dominique Johnson was until he spent 2 weeks with the tight ends, and we moved him back to running back. Everyone forgets that he came over with us, but the room has done a good job just competing and really focusing on themselves and learning the offense and what they have to do inside the offense. It's easier for me in year 2, knowing what this offense asks of this position, to be able to teach better and have those guys have a better understanding of what's asked, what skill set they need, where we have to improve, and what our strengths and weaknesses are.
Yeah, I'm curious what kind of a response you saw from Hudson the last couple of days since day one didn't finish it.
Yeah, the response I would expect from any of our tight ends, and that's to come in and do your job. Like this, football's hard. And everything's earned. And, we had an issue physically with him that he has overcome and done a nice job. I can honestly tell you this, and this isn't coach talk, and this isn't me sitting up here trying to make something. What this kid honestly cares about the team more than himself. And that doesn't happen much in this world at this time, in an age of instant gratification on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. He legitimately wants to do what's best for the team, be a good teammate, and serve in any role he can find that helps the football team.
I guess just what are your impressions been of Tyrus Washington? Kind of what excites you about him?
Yeah. Here's where we hit on Tyrus. He's got the right mental makeup. He's a tough, competitive South Georgia kid. He comes in, he works. Football is very important to him. He has a passion for football. He is very eager to get on the field in any way he can, whether it be special teams, tight end. He's picked the right people to associate himself with and follow and listen to. I see him on the side asking Trey and Bax and HUD questions all the time. He's that guy in the meeting room that always has questions. He's the guy that I get texts from saying, hey, can I come over and talk about, signals or plays, and he wants to know the why. And it also helps because the standard of intelligence in the room is so high. He knows what he doesn't know, and he knows he needs to catch up to get in the rotation to compete for a spot. And that's what he's done a great job of.
I've heard Sam mention that South Georgia deal before. Is there a significance to that?
I only recruited for like 6 months. So like when I'm down there, they're tough physical kids and they're competitive. And from day one, that's what I've seen with Tyrus.
Yes.
Back in the spring, I heard a couple of people make comparisons to Blake Kern. How are they similar? How are they different?
I think they're similar in the fact I don't like comparisons, but I'm going to answer the question this way. And they're similar and they're very consistent. And they're team first guys. They obviously Kern and Bax earned a scholarship as a walk-on. You guys know this. It's hard to earn a scholarship as a walk-on. And we're going to do everything in our power to give these scholarship guys the first look, the second look, till somebody you really earn. When you earn a scholarship, you earn it. And he just keeps his head down and keeps working and doing the right stuff. And that's kind of Kern played the long game. And when I got here, it's kind of like, we had the Kern kid. And Kern had a really solid year and got in some NFL camps and got a look and opportunity to do, which is also very hard just to get into that camp. And that's why I would say Bax is similar. Like he has the same makeup. He's dependable. He's smart. He's tough. He's going to do the right thing. He's a guy that we can trust on and off the field to be an example for the younger guys. And that's the standard.
He's never had a target in a game, but when you watch him out here, it seems like he's got pretty sure hands. How much do you think he can factor in as a receiver?
Yeah, he needs to keep doing a good job, keep working. He does have good hands. And if you just keep doing this stuff the right way and be fundamentally sound and play when your opportunity is called, you make the most of it. So, the tight end position, sometimes your stat line doesn't tell how well you play because you don't control where the ball goes. The coverage does. And sometimes, you're not in the game when the tight end, is his number is called. But I do believe that he'll be a guy that can help us if he is in the game and he's competing for us and his number's called, I think he'll go out and execute and do his job.
You touched on recruiting a little bit. Probably the last time before this, you've been a recruiter, I guess, is probably a player host.
And maybe my wife. Yeah. Outside of that.
Well, it seems like you're doing a pretty good job with everything. I guess just talk about your approach to recruiting and how you have adjusted.
Yeah. Some of you guys have known me since I was here as a freshman when I was 17, 18 years old, and 18 years later, I'm back. And I think it's number one, being a straight shooter. And I kind of learned this from Coach Nutt is you got to find out what you offer and what this player is looking for and make sure that they understand that we can provide this better than anyone else. And that's sometimes the way we treat you and the way you're going to be coached. And I think that you earn trust through people from being consistent and doing the right thing. And you start to build relationships that way. And I look at all that as we're just building relationships. I don't like to use the word recruiting. It's build relationships and make sure that all these places have great facilities. All these places have great fan bases, but I don't think anyone can sell this place like I do because I believe everything I say to these kids about the University of Arkansas because I lived it. And this is always where I wanted to come to school. So I hope that every kid that I talk to feels my passion for this place because I believe with all my heart. It's not recruiting. I'm telling you everything we have, which is really special. And it's someplace you want to be.
How was that getting out on the road for the first time in the evaluation period? And what all territories do you hit?
So I have a big part of Arkansas, tight ends nationally, the state of Oklahoma, and then I trickle into North Dallas, which isn't really my area, but I like to go down there because I'm from there. And so I tag on with Sheer a lot to get down there. And that part's been fun. And you take everything you learned in the NFL about critical factors and evaluating positions and mental makeup, and you get to apply it to recruiting. So it's not just, there's a recruiting aspect, a solicitation part of it, but there's also the eval part, and it's the critical factors and the things you look for at each position and I've always enjoyed the draft process and being an offense coordinator for 4 teams. Like, I was looking at the whole board. I'm evaluating 150 kids instead of just the tight ends or the quarterbacks or wide receivers. So I think that's helped me a ton as well, understanding what to look for, what's important, and years of spending time at the combine and how important the numbers are. And sometimes it's not just picking the player, it's eliminating the guys that you don't want and can't play for you. And it's evaluation plus solicitation and building relationships. So it's been fun. Like, I've obviously never done this in my life, and it's been exciting. It's different, which is kind of giving me a certain energy, and it's competition, which I love. I love the fact that we get to go compete against the best of the best and see if we can win. And that, to me, is what fires me up and it's my why when it comes to recruiting.
But Tyrus Washington was here in the spring. He's been here a little while. How's he coming along, progressing with his part of the game? And then Aaron Outley was a kid that was highly recruited, came in, was hurt, out,
Yes, sir.
Whatever last year. We know about that. Just how's he coming along too?
Yes, sir. Like I said, to Tyrus, he's very inquisitive. He's gonna ask all the right questions. Getting here in January has obviously helped him going through spring football. And one of the cool things about this place is following the Georgia model, how much time these guys spend together on football in the summer. I think we had 16 summer workouts where these guys are on Tuesdays and Thursdays are throwing, and they're with each other, and they're in meeting rooms and doing those things, which is very unique. We didn't have that when I was here. Like, when Coach Nutt and his staff left in May, I ran 7-on-7 for Matt and Tavares and Sorahan and Zach Clark and those guys until Coach and we came to camp. But now football never really stops, and he's benefited from that because he does things the right way, and football is important to him. And he understands that for him to compete, it's not going to be the physical, it's going to be the mental. Can we trust you to get on the field and help us prepare the right way? And then Aaron's been a guy that's battled some injuries, great kid, Little Rock kid. And he's getting to the point he's gotten in better shape. When he hurt his knee, the conditioning aspect regressed a little bit for him, but going back to Coach Walker and those guys have gotten him in great shape, and he looks better than he has since I got here. And he's, battling through the knee. So it's opportunity and making the most of your reps. So, he's got an opportunity to compete. He's not in that top group of players right now, but that doesn't mean he can't earn that and get in that group through, I think we have 26, 27 days till we play a game.
Back to recruiting, you've got a pretty big group on campus right now with the COVID year. I think everybody Knox could come back next year. You got a big group already committed.
Yeah.
What are the challenges like recruiting beyond, 24, 25 classes when you've got that kind of numbers crunch, you got the portal? What are those challenges like navigating those?
To me, there's obviously going to be challenges that come up, but it's right now in this moment, we're focused on our 23 class. We'll progress to the 24 class. And it's also making sure that we're treating and coaching these guys the right way. So if it is an option for someone to come back, that they feel good about coming back and they want to come back. And that was part of a little bit of the challenge with Trey. Like, Trey has to make a decision. Hey, I'm going to go play tight end, or do I want to go play receiver somewhere else in getting the portal? And, to credit to the staff before me and the relationships they created. And obviously Trey and I have a very, very good relationship, and I really enjoy coaching him. And, all this stuff can be handled with how you treat people, being honest, and being clear, like your expectations of like, this is where you need to improve. Now it's on you and I to go do this and improve. And I think as long as there's constant communication and everyone knows where they stand, then I think everyone feels good about, the relationships they have and their opportunity to compete. And that's like the one thing that helps us is we 2-spot. And it's the best thing. I think we win because our strength staff and the way we play and the way we practice, and the practice builds toughness, along with Coach Walker and his staff building mental toughness and physical toughness and getting these guys ready to play. But this two spot, like to Otis's point, Aaron Alley's getting reps. So he's not standing on the sideline. And we get to go back and we get to evaluate him every day with the other 8 or 9 tight ends we have. And that makes such a huge difference because a lot of times it's 3 or 4 people getting reps. And these kids don't understand how lucky they are to have two spot, to actually have tape available. And that's the only way to get better is to go do it. So I think that's another advantage we have here is the way we practice.
Now, the SEC West is a little bit of a different beast than when you were a player. I mean, every game last year against your division rivals was super competitive, hot game.
Why different than when I was a player?
Well, some of the programs have come up.
Some of them have gone down too.
Well, all right. Tougher in 2000. Now, how does Arkansas, you think, go from 9 wins to challenging for the top?
We got it.
Well, we have to build a team that plays consistent to the best of their abilities. And obviously that starts with recruiting and getting the right kids on campus, the right mental makeup kids, the kids that fit Arkansas, that have that chip on the shoulder to play hard, and it's development. And I've said that this will be the 3rd time I think I've referenced Coach Walker and the way we practice. And it's everyone buying into the aspect of getting better every day. And you're competing at yourself to be the best player you can be. And when you have a team that buys into that, I was a player, got the chance to go to Atlanta and go to the SEC championship game. That's kind of why I got after you a little bit about, Coach Saban was at LSU as well too then. And, it's all those things. It's a million little things of doing the right thing all the time and building trust amongst the team and building accountability. It's harder than ever to hold the team accountable and to build trust on the team and to get your football right. And the easiest way for me to say this is you get the right people, you create the right environment, you develop your people. That'd be the simplest way to say it. And that's really, really hard. It sounds easy. It's like, hey, we do these 3 things, but it's really hard and it takes time.
Now, with your, you're obviously new to college football from a coaching standpoint, but a lot of the coaches call the portal free agency. You dealt with free agency in the
free
NFL.
agency without rules, and there's no salary cap. That's the difference in the NFL is it opened up one day and you geared up all this time. And you knew like, hey, his contract's running out, and you're gearing up. So you had a chance to have a game plan. And then it shut down at a certain point. So, and you're working guys out, it's different. And there's the cap, you can also in the NFL, you can cut a player, find a player, which is from the picking the right players. Like you also have that in your back pocket to get people to do the right stuff. And that's what makes, picking the right people makes it's harder now because you do have a transfer portal that we have people that's all they do all day is look at the transfer portal and just keep hitting refresh on their computer and just keep looking. And then all it turns into, it's a little bit like free agency without rules. And it's like, hey, let's evaluate this guy, or, hey, who watched this guy when he was in high school? And that's why you have to evaluate, you have to recruit and evaluate your area as well, because you're building files. It's like in the NFL, a kid would get drafted and we did a lot of homework on him, but like we also knew we had to continue to study him. And why you have to evaluate everyone at the combine is because at some point in free agency, like you're going to have to make a decision on him and you want to know about his character and you want to know that if he fits your mold and your critical factors. And so there is some correlation in that. And it's also, now you live in an NIL world and all these other things, which is not free agency whatsoever.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to get you all revved up there.
No, I'm sorry.
That was a good answer. And then with Trey, with your NFL background, how would you evaluate him as a tight end prospect for the pros? And how do you think he's carrying the extra weight?
So Trey's biggest thing, which I've told all the tight ends, and especially if you have desires to play in the NFL, at that position, you're really either a true Y, which the current like Kern was. You're a sub YF, which is like the Jordan Reed type players, the Kyle Pitts type players, or you're a 3. And a 3, you better be able to play Y and F. And what's most important, unless you're Kyle Pitts in the NFL or Delaney Walker or Jared Cook, some of the guys we've had in the past, from Mike Gesicki, you better be able to play on special teams. So Trey, who is a good special teams player, also understands the value now of why that's important, why it's important for when scouts show up, they see him doing these drills because they're going to want to know. It's a 53-man roster, not 85 scholarship plus 110. Like it's 53 plus 10 on the practice squad. So now your special teams value is more important than it's ever been. And if you can play tight end at his size and move like he does and show special teams value, it obviously increases your NFL value. I think that's been a selling point for us with Trey as well, and kind of like dangle the carrot for him of, hey, if you can play these special teams and these particular roles and put stuff on tape, as you're helping the University of Arkansas's football team, you also increase your own value. And by increasing your own value, you increase the team value, which I think Trey, once he realized that, I think that his buy-in went up because he understands like, hey, I'm going to help the team and myself. So this makes sense for me to want to play in as many special teams as I can because it helps the football team and my NFL value.
This is a little off the wall question, but I wonder how much are you as assistant coaches coached up on a day-to-day basis by the head coach?
As far as
what practice is going to look like, just day to day.
I think one of
the other day about he met with you guys Thursday night in an expectations meeting. Just if you could give us some insight into
he
that.
does, and I'll give you guys a little background. And I don't know how much of this stuff we're supposed to talk about, not, but I think what Coach Pittman does a very good job of is he has a vision for what he wants this football team to look like, and as a head coach, you're accountable to get that vision. So this is the way he does it with us. Like I'm going to tell you guys this, and the whole state of Arkansas know what he wants to look. He wants it to be hardworking, tough, loyal. So you see his imprints on this thing, and what he does with us, he watches every one of our individuals. And this meeting is brutal in the morning. We met at 7:30 this morning, and he's watched every one of our individuals, every position coach on the staff. Defense meets at 7. We meet at 7:30. And we're asking everyone on the staff, hey, what was his mood like? How's it go? We're good. And we're asking questions, but coach is going to make sure we're going to be a fundamentally sound football team. And that's the way he does it. I'd never been coach. When I was in Dallas, Coach Parcells watched the team tape as a whole staff, which I'm sure Coach Pittman did at Georgia with Coach Smart. But Coach Pittman allows us to watch it as offensive and defensive staff, but he still keeps he's going to keep us fundamentally sound because he's going to make sure that our drills show up on tape and that we're teaching the right stuff and that he has a good feel for both sides of the ball. And I give him a lot of credit. And that point of, I haven't seen that since I left Dallas. That was 16 years ago. And I think Coach Pittman, that's really where he puts his fingerprints on this team. And I think that's why we're a fundamentally sound team, because there's a standard and he holds us accountable to that standard.
Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate you guys.